Hey guys, so I thought I might start doing a little bit of a different thing. Every Friday, ideally, every so often, ideally every Friday. Dude, stop. Ideally every Friday, but every so often, I want to make a video where I talk a little bit about something that I'm learning with voice acting, or something that I've learned, or something that I'm struggling with, or something that all actors have to face. But today, I wanted to talk about a subject that's been on my mind quite often lately, and actually pretty much all the time. That is criticism. So as many people know, when it comes to just about any talent or pursued interest, criticism is a very important aspect of those things. And I know it was one of the first things I discovered when I actually started applying myself to voice acting. Because, you know, when you start out new with anything, you're not gonna be good at it. Even if you have a natural talent, you're gonna have a lot of weaknesses, especially if you're just starting out with something. And so criticism is to be expected. Now, there are different kinds of criticism. There are the completely useless and unhelpful criticisms that are so often found in things like YouTube comments. That say things like "LOL, you suck," or you know, just things like that that are just meant to get a rise out of somebody and are not necessarily meant to help someone improve. And then there are the critical comments that actually address the real weaknesses in somebody's performance or art piece or whatever it is you're doing. And those are things that say specific weaknesses, like, you know, one of the earliest things I ever heard was, "You're not emoting enough." And that was true. And if you go back and listen to some of my old stuff, you hear it, or at least I do. But I have to credit the person who gave me this. It was Joel Geeb Machine, as some of you guys know him. He is another voice actor here in the community, and I think other places as well. And he's very talented, and you should go check out his YouTube channel. But that he told me when I first started doing this stuff has helped me immensely, and it's really made all the difference in where I am today with all this stuff. Yeah, so criticism is a tricky thing, especially when you're starting out, because it can be hard to hear criticism. It can be, for some of us, at times frustrating. It can make you feel unenthused to keep going because you just feel like, oh, I suck at this, you know, whatever. But it's so not true. And the truth is that if you want to get better at anything, if you're truly pursuing something that you feel passionate about and you want to see yourself be as good at as possible, criticism is essential. Criticism is your best friend, because that, getting people to point out the weaknesses in what you're doing and to be able to address that and to build upon that is going to make all the difference in your performance going forward. So that's why I want to talk about it, because it's important to learn how to accept criticism and see criticism for the helpful thing that it is. The trouble with criticism is that we have such a hard time accepting it, and we have such a hard time, a lot of us, many of us, have a hard time accepting it gracefully. And there seems to be kind of this, you know, unspoken sort of etiquette kind of thing, where we don't really do it very much out of fear, I think, of hurting each other's feelings. You know, I see a lot of, and I'm not just talking about this community that I've been involved with, but I just pretty much everywhere, you know, I see a lot of like, "Oh, you're so good." And I'm not just talking about what I get. I see what other people are getting too, but there's a lot of praise. And there's nothing wrong with praise. Praise is great. You know, it's great hearing how wonderful you are at something. And I genuinely believe that that's what a lot of people feel when they hear these different, you know, voice performances from me and the other voice actors in the community and elsewhere. Certainly that's the feeling I get when I watch like an Emma Thompson performance, for example. And there's nothing wrong with that, you know, as long as you're being honest. But at the same time, you know, I don't see a lot of people feeling comfortable and open with saying, you know, "I felt like your execution was a little weak. I felt like you weren't enunciating very clearly. I felt like, you know, this was off," or that, or whatever. And And a lot of people, you know, it feels like we can't quite reach a happy medium, because just as it seems like people can be very sensitive and very resistant to hearing anything that isn't 100% positive, confusing, you know, honest, helpful criticism with like trolling or whatever. Just as there's that going on, there are people who are worried about being accused of doing that, I think. And so that's kind of the problem that we run into with criticism these days, is people are afraid of it, basically. People are worried about it, especially in this day and age of, like I said, trolling, people acting like jerks. But again, like I said, you know, if you want to get better at anything, if something you're doing is truly your passion and you want to see yourself be the best at it that you can possibly be, criticism is vital. You know, you have to seek it out. And while it is great to hear it from somebody who's kind of doing the same thing you are and at the same place, your peer, you know, it's still good for no matter where it comes from, so long as it's honest and so long as it's helpful. That's the main thing, honest and helpful. Not just a criticism that's meant to piss you off, not just something that's said to be trolly in the comments. That sincerely is trying to give you your best chance and to help you become better at what you're doing. So to conclude this video, I guess, the point of my thoughts and the point of this whole ramble is that I want to encourage and invite people, at least where I'm concerned, to feel more comfortable offering me criticism. What I'm inviting here is for people to feel comfortable saying, you know, I felt like that was a little weak. I felt like you weren't enunciating well. I felt, you know, just stuff like that. And just as I'm inviting people to do that for me, I'd like to invite people to try to become a little bit more comfortable with accepting feedback that isn't 100% praise. Because just because it's not 100% praise does not mean that it's hate. You know, sometimes people just have a lot of thoughts about what you did, and they want to see you improve, and they want to see you get better, or they just want to offer their thoughts. They don't necessarily want to hurt your feelings. So that's kind of what the whole point of this thing is. I just want to encourage people to be more comfortable with criticism. Okay, so those are my thinky thoughts for this video, and hopefully I'll have something a bit more coherent next week. But I'm just giving this format a try, so let me know what you think, and don't feel like you have to be, you know, don't feel like it has to be 100%, you know, polite drivel. Just be honest, and that's all I'm asking for. Okay, bye.